Stephen A., who is most responsible for the Lakers' struggles?
Well, listen, before we even get into that, let me make sure, before I answer that question, I'm getting very, very annoyed at people getting on me about my statements about Frank Vogel. I've never blamed Frank Vogel. All I said is that there's always going to be a scapegoat, and you ain't traded AD, Russell Westbrook, or LeBron James.
Yeah.
So Frank Vogel will
of
suffer.
life.
I believe if they continue to play this way, Frank Vogel will lose his job before All-Star break, probably before the year is out. I believe that if they continue to look this way, but it's not that I'm advocating for it to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserves it. I'm just saying the Lakers live by a different standard. And if you don't measure up, there's a price that's going to be paid, and this is what it's going to be. That's all I'm saying. Now let me get to the point. The culprit in regards to this, to some degree, is LeBron James. I know he's been injured. I know he missed about 11 games, KP. He is the guy largely responsible for the assemblage of this roster. Russell Westbrook is not wearing a Los Angeles Lakers uniform if LeBron James doesn't sign off on it. Anthony Davis isn't going along with it unless LeBron James signs off on it. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss wouldn't bring guys onto the squad that LeBron James doesn't want there. And so the bottom line is we might lament the fact that the minutes that he's playing, they relying on a dude in his 19th season at age 36, approaching age 37. And I think all of that is very fair because I'm not blaming LeBron James for anything. I'm just simply saying, KP, when you talk about culpability, when you talk about responsibility, he is clearly the leader of this franchise, as well as he should be. He deserves it, okay? But with that leadership comes the responsibility of taking the brunt of the blame when stuff ain't going right and we're seeing a bevy of players that are struggling just to do their job. You're going to look at the leader when it comes to something like that, and that's why I say LeBron James.
Well, you know what, Stephen A., I don't disagree with you, but let me say this before
Sure.
I even start, okay? Let me say this. You know, down there in Texas, in the country, you know, you have an option to roll your trash can to the street and the trash people come pick it up. Or some people in the country, they burn their trash and it stinks when they burn it. I mean, hot garbage. That's who the Lakers are right now. And look, I'm tired. I'm tired of coming on television, whether it's First Take, whether it's NBA Today, and I'm tired of talking about the Lakers. You know why? Because they don't deserve to be talked about. Because they are not good right now. They haven't earned the right to be talked about. I don't care if they lose or win or whatever the case may be. They are trash. And there's other teams right now like the Sacramento Kings, who I would rather talk about than the Los Angeles Lakers, who has been playing phenomenal basketball since firing Luke Walton. I might even want to talk about the Houston Rockets, who are on a 7-game winning streak right now. But when I look at the Lakers, since I got to answer the question, who's the most to blame, I'm going to say Anthony Davis. And I'm not going to say Anthony Davis because of what Charles Barkley said the other night. I heard his comments. I'm going to say it because he has to man the hell up and demand the basketball, okay? And here's why. Anthony Davis right now is averaging a quiet 24 points and almost 11 rebounds. And the Lakers are at their best when they run their offense through Anthony Davis on the low block, like the game last night. Look, you want him to play the center position. He can't handle big Steven Adams on the defensive end. He's just too strong. But offensively, I've been part of on the same team with Steven Adams when AD has given Steven Adams that work on multiple occasions. So it comes to the point where LeBron James and Russell Westbrook have to defer to Anthony Davis. It reminds me a lot of 2008 when I was on that team when we won the ring, when years passed, when we got into 2009 and 2010, you know what the big three said? You know what? Let me defer to Rajon Rondo. He's the young stud. Let the offense run through him. If the Lakers have plans on going anywhere or even have us be worthy of talking about them, they need to get the ball to AD more.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. They need to run it to him, but he does need to be a bit more assertive and aggressive because just getting, you know how it is, KP. If you on the court and it's somebody that's going along to get along, he knows what he can do, but he doesn't mind being passive or, dare I say, deferential because he has other stars on the court. Then you got to implore him to want it, to demand it. We're looking at the Lakers here. I'm looking at this schedule, KP. The losses that they've had, the 13 losses, they're 13-13 at 500. And by the way, you brought up Sacramento. It's not an accident. Luke Walton is gone. Alvin Gentry's the coach. They're 5-3 with him as a head coach in Sacramento. Ladies and gentlemen, Alvin Gentry, I think he's already proven this. We're happy for Willie Green, but Alvin Gentry should have never been let go in New Orleans. Alvin Gentry knows how to coach. Alvin Gentry knows how to coach. Alvin Gentry is a head coach in the National Basketball Association who should have never lost his damn job, to be quite honest with you, a couple of times in his career. So I'm very happy to see him head coach in the Sacramento Kings right now. And it's not an accident to me that they're playing better basketball because when they play like hot garbage, as you would bring up, KP, he called them on it. And this was his second game on the job. And he called them on it. He said, we look like hot garbage, we look like trash. We got to get it together. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers, you're absolutely right. We keep talking about them. They've got 2 losses to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've got a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who've improved. We know that. But they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves by 24. We got a loss to, obviously, they lost to the Knicks, okay? They lost to the Sacramento Kings. They lost to the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. They lost to the Portland Trail Blazers, all right? I'm just looking at them right now, and I'm saying, look, man, it's 26 games in, almost a third of the, listen, almost half the season is arriving shortly. The bottom line is LeBron James is the leader. And what you need is somebody not that tries to hold people accountable, somebody that's fully capable of holding people accountable. And I don't want to hear stuff about Russell Westbrook. I got to tell y'all something. He shoots 32% from three-point range. That's not great, but that's an improvement because he was in the low 20s for the last couple of years. It's Anthony Davis shooting 19% from three-point range. Russell Westbrook is unselfish. He's trying to fit in. It's LeBron James that has to take the bull by the horn and say, yo. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.